A former Premier League footballer, he's played against the likes of Ronaldo and Beckham, but he also finished 145th in FPL last season. Welcome to the show, former Leicester City player, Matt Heath. Matt, how you doing, mate? And thank you for joining me today. We're here to see your Haaland and Salah draft. And yeah, how's drafting going?
Evening, Johnny. Yeah, really well. I was just half talking to you before, but there's a few scrambles in my head, a few coin flips, a few decisions to be made this week, I imagine, like everyone. But no, it's fun. It's really good fun.
Glad to hear that. And just quickly, Matt, you played against some big names. Like, just tell us, what was it like representing Leicester in the Premier League? Because you're a boyhood Leicester fan, right? And there you are playing against like world-class players.
It was a dream come true. Like you say, I was a Leicester City fan. I went to watch Leicester from such an early age with my dad, and to be able to then put on the blue shirt and represent the Foxes honestly, it was amazing.
Oh, so cool. We'll hear more about your stories about Leicester later in the show. But first up, let's talk a little bit about your FPL draft. We're teasing the audience today, guys. If you're enjoying the stream, do hit those buttons, like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to show Matt's goalkeepers and defenders first. Then we're going to show you his midfielders and forwards in just 2 minutes' time. So let's talk with goalkeepers first and foremost. You've gone budget, same as me. It's a 4.5 with a 4.0. Have you considered the two 4.5s rotating, or are you happy just setting and forgetting Henderson?
No, 100%. I considered it. Even in the last time we spoke, I had two 4.5s in there for a little bit of a switcheroo. However, you just know what's going to happen, don't you? You know that the 4.5 away from home will haul and do really well, make loads of saves, man of the match. So I think for myself, to have a 4.0 with the 4.5, again, saves that little bit of money, maybe 2-3 weeks down the line if you want to make a transfer or two. Although it is a little bit of a gamble, sending off a little injury, out of form, and you could be stuck needing to make a transfer. But that's one of the small little gambles that I'm not entirely happy with, but I've gone with that one.
Yeah, and you saved that 0.5 can make a difference. So I hear you, especially if you're early wildcarding, the need for two goalkeepers perhaps isn't as essential if you think there's a chance you early wildcard. But look, our defence, we're similar FPL managers, Matt, which begs the question, why didn't I finish 145 last year? Because I've got Henderson and a 4.0, but I've also got two 4 million defenders, and it's the same two you've got. But let's talk about the other three, because today I've sold Mykolenko and I've gone Jarell Quansah from Liverpool just because it looks like he's going to start the season. If he continues to play well, he'll keep his spot. But Mykolenko gives you a bit of upside, and Sean Dyche teams do keep clean sheets. He's a very good 4.5 pick.
Yeah, now that 4.5 pick could literally be anyone. There's a handful of players at that price point which I could pick. Main reason why, I think he's a sturdy left back. He's not as attacking as the other two bigger hitters that I've got in the team, but he's got the potential to get an attacking return. Like we say, we love a Sean Dyche defence. They're solid, they're reliable. I'm sure even though they've lost a defensive midfielder, that he'll still have a little plan, a contingency plan in there. And they do rotate really well with the Brighton and the Southampton fixtures. I think that was probably one of my main differences. I do like Robinson at Fulham. I think he's looked really good in the pre-season friendlies, quite attacking. However, just the Everton, at the minute, the Everton team just falls into place that little bit more than the Fulham.
Yeah, I hear that. And those three, I agree. The rotation is so important. I do encourage you guys to check the rotation out. Look, we'll get on to Matt's midfielders and forwards in a minute. But as a former centre-back, we've got to spend some time on his defenders. Munoz, we know we're getting great attacking output. It's the back three, the wing-back, effectively playing in midfield at times. Talk to us about Gvardiol, though, because in the Community Shield yesterday, because Rico Lewis played right back, and Rico Lewis plays almost like a central midfielder, he inverts. At times, we saw that on Saturday, and Gvardiol sort of formed a back three in possession, so he wasn't as high and wide as you might have expected at the end of last season, or at times in pre-season. So Rico Lewis might not be great for Gvardiol, but one, Rico Lewis might not always start at right back, probably won't, and two, Pep changes things. That one day Rico Lewis could be an out-and-out right back and Gvardiol is high and wide. So are you just in it in hope that we see the Gvardiol from the end of last season?
Yeah, 100%. If you'd asked me, Johnny, how or what do you merit your high finish last year, one of the picks would have been picking Gvardiol at the right time. So I feel like I have a little bit of duty to have him in my team from the beginning. Yes, we know how well he can attack, and I'm just hoping that Pep realises that was one of the great points of his team last season, and he just goes and rolls it out again. That's my hope. If it isn't, again, like we just said, it's quite easy just to have a little switch up and pick another maybe higher price defender at that point. But for me, at the beginning, similar to Munoz, he's got a great attacking numbers, great attacking data, and if he does continue the form and the style of play from last year, then he's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And you're right to have loyalties because your 145 overall rank last year, 145 in the world, blows my mind that a former Premier League footballer actually is ranked that high. A lot of that is down to Gvardiol for the run-in.
Definitely.
The midfielders, this is a Salah and Haaland draft that still has a premium defender like Gvardiol in. So it seems to still have the balance. Like, this isn't a team of enablers. So you've done well to somehow have a very good looking midfield alongside Haaland and Salah. Rodgers is your enabler. Do you prefer him to say a Bob or Smith Rowe and Minte are a little more at 5.5, but is it Rodgers really that you like just because he's almost like a second striker?
I think if I'm going to be honest, and it's a little bit of a cliche pick. Teams like you said a couple of weeks ago had Rodgers in and I didn't. And I've just thought in the last couple of days, I'm going to pop him in there just because we've not seen Watkins in pre-season. Yeah. There's a chance that he may have some time as centre forward. He has been consistent with his minutes through pre-season. And if it's a punt that works, then it's great. I've got ahead of the bandwagon with everyone hopping on and I get his price before it rises. But if it doesn't work again, we can just have a little swap around. I do like Smith Rowe, but again, it's a new team. Fulham arguably aren't as good as Aston Villa as a team. Yeah. So that's the reason why I've gone for Rodgers in there, and it does help, obviously, the rest of the team fall into place.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Mate, you've got Gordon and Eze. My biggest dilemma going into Friday's deadline will be, do I go Gordon or Eze? Because I've only got space for one. And I'm so torn. So my question to you is, which one is more nailed in your team, which then indicates which one you prefer, which then helps me with my decision? What a selfish question to ask.
No, it's not selfish. I'm going to give you this. I've got Gordon in there as a little bit of a 3-week punt in my
like a placeholder for someone else then maybe.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. I've got him in there just to see how everyone else pans out. I know he's got a great first game, although there is talk he might not be fit enough to start the game, which is a little bit disappointing. Maybe
I'd be surprised though.
I would be surprised.
He got 45, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did. I would be surprised after his form last season. So I'm going to go with Gordon. He's got 2 home games in the first 3. And then I just feel like there'll be maybe a 5.5, 6.5 million player that might shine. And it just might free up a little bit of cash there to maybe look at Ollie Watkins in game week 4.
Yes, whose fixtures really do turn for Watkins. That's an amazing run. And to be able to convert a Muniz to a Watkins, for example, or even an Isak if you need the extra 500,000. Okay, it's good to know there, Gordon, Eze. And does Eze feel locked for you? Like, you get pens, you get set pieces, the talisman.
Yeah, he does. If he does get a transfer late in the transfer deadline, then it would change because I do want him as a Crystal Palace player. The slight little concerns that Elise's not there. Mateta might not be back in time to play, so they do go against you. However, I have faith in it. He's a great player, and again, his stats last season were excellent. And I just can't make an argument of not to have him in.
Yeah, okay. And look, we haven't spoken about Mo Salah. He is. I mean, this is a Salah and Haaland draft. Do you feel like you'll see that through and you'll go with both of them? Because when we spoke earlier in pre-season, you had both. And I know you're a fan of that big hitter approach. It gives you great options for captaincy. Do you think you'll end up sticking with the setup at least? Obviously, you'll make a few tweaks to your team, but do you think Salah and Haaland will stay?
90%. 90%. I do tweak and look at my team. If I take Salah out, put Son in, I've got an extra 2.5 to maybe bump Mooney's up to Havertz and go with a little bit more Arsenal at the beginning. I know I've not got Arsenal, I know I've not got Tottenham, but you have to make sacrifices. So it's one of them ones where at the minute I'm putting faith in Mo Salah. I'm hoping that not everybody does have him and he starts and he hits the ground running and he scores a few goals. Obviously, if he doesn't score in the first 5 game weeks, say, then I'm going to be down the pecking order a little bit. But I've got a little bit of faith that he'll get at least 3 or 4 returns in the first 5.
Yeah, okay. And Muniz, what do you make of him? Because presumably he's more your 7th attacker than 8th. Like, it will often be Rodgers' first sub and Muniz in your 11, right? I mean, the Muniz fixtures are amazing.
Yeah, they're really good. Apart from, obviously, you could argue the first game is a little tough, although anything could really happen in the first game of the season. And then they go on a really good run for a fair few games. And what has probably swung it for me is that he's had a good pre-season. He's not had a bitty pre-season. So has Mo Salah, so has Haaland, so has Isak. Rodgers has, and Kunku's been about. So I've tried to get as many in there that I know haven't had that longer break, and they should hit the ground running. I know how hard it would be to go into competitive action straight off without having a good handful of minutes under your belt. So that is probably one of the reasons why I've opted for Mooney's in there at the beginning of the season.
You've got a ton of players that have had a good rest. Yeah, sure, Gordon and Eze were away with England. They didn't play much, but they were still away. But Nkunku, Rodgers, Salah, Haaland, Muniz, Isak, all a full pre-season, which as a former player, the benefits of. And when we talk about players returning late, so I don't know, Phil Foden might not be ready to start game week 1. Do you see him kind of being introduced fairly slowly? Like, yeah, he might start game week 2 or 3, but don't expect sets of 90 straight away, because it matters when you've had 3 weeks off. You need to be eased in, right?
Yeah, especially with, say, Man City. They've got so many players. They've got Oscar Bob, like you said, who's been absolutely on fire in pre-season. Why would he not merit having a few more minutes in the first couple of game weeks? And why would he risk putting Phil Foden in for a full 90 minutes when he could pick up a small injury? It's just, for me, he'll probably go and do it and just prove me wrong. But I just feel like there's a little bit of doubt there at the beginning of the season for Saka, for Foden, for Palmer, although they are good players and certain managers, maybe the Chelsea Maresca might just have to rely on him.
Yeah, okay. Isak and Haaland are 2 brilliant captaincy options this game week, game week 1. Yep. You've currently got the armband on Haaland. Do you think you'll stick with that? How set are you on Haaland captain? I'm on Isak at the moment, but I could easily switch.
Well, last video we did, I was on Isak and I've just swapped it over to Haaland. See, this is my thinking now, that if I just kind of look at Haaland, he has the first 2 Premier League seasons, he started really quickly. He started on fire. So historically, again, he should start well. He's had that good pre-season. He scored goals in pre-season. And I think that if there is a split, 50-50 in ownership of Haaland, and I'm doubling it up to a double points, then if I do get one big haul in the first 4, then I want to catch it. I don't want to be on Isak if it's away at Chelsea and he scores a hat-trick against them. So it's kind of a little tactical. Like, I do feel Isak is a great shout at home to Southampton, but I don't want to miss Haaland having a real good score.
Yeah, it's a tough. So as a centre back, how good these strikers are. And we it's clear as day, Haaland is the best in the world, blah, blah, blah. But just talk to me about Isak, because he feels like he's very close to that elite bar already. And as someone that's faced a lot of strikers over the years, tell me what sort of traits he has and why he's so good. Because I think the matchup at home to a newly promoted team is as good as he could have asked for. And Isak has the best fixture going, even better than Salah versus Ipswich, because Salah's away. So Isak really could do damage against those Southampton centre-backs.
Definitely. I am actually big on the promoted teams are going to struggle a little bit, especially early on when they've not come to pace. Now, we know St James's Park is an absolute nightmare place to go. They were so strong at home last season. And for a player like Isak, who has pace, he has players, willing runners around him, and he's a willing runner himself, and he can finish. He has got a real good eye for goal, and he only needs half a sniff to put it away. I do feel he scores a lot of late goals as well. I've not got the stats to back it up, but I feel like he does play a lot of 90 minutes, and he keeps going right to the end when the defences get a little tired, and he scores that third or fourth goal in a game. Again, I might be wrong there, but that's just something that's in the back of my mind. So, yeah, a great shout. I wouldn't try and talk you out of it. I think that's a personal preference with that one.
Okay, and in terms of percentage of players in your team that you think will stay, like, do you feel like 90% there, 50% there?
Yeah, I think so. Unless I change for any reason, maybe an injury, the structure with one of the big priced players, I can't see it changing too much. Maybe, like I said, the 4.5 defender, the 4 million, or one of the 4 million defenders, and the goalkeeper could have a little think a little bit more in depth this week. But I'm fairly certain on the midfielders and the forwards at this point. I know there might be a few more games tonight, just to have a little scout over tomorrow, but I'm not far away with that one.
Love that. Very good, mate. I mean, from someone that's played top level football, we're just privileged to have a pro footballer, former Premier League player that finished 145th in FPL. We spoke loads earlier in pre-season about your career and taking penalties in pre-season, in end of training with Ivan Toney. We spoke about you rooming with Peter Crouch. You've got so many stories. So go back, guys, and find that video. I'll put a link of it if you want to know more about Matt and his career playing top flight football and stories from the world of Premier League and pro football. If you've enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe. I hope to have loads more content with Matt throughout the season as well. It's awesome chatting to you, Matt. Thank you so much for joining me. My final shout out was actually just for anyone that might want to come and join and be a channel member. There's options if you click the join button below this video. And Matt, my final message to you is, thank you for joining, and we hope to see you again soon. And we can't forget that you are also a teammate of mine. We once did play football together. It was only for 45 minutes, but I had the time of my life playing next to you, mate. So thank you.
You did all my running for me. I can't run anymore, and you're really good at that. So no, thank you.
It's about all I'm good at with football. Don't ask me to kick the ball, but I can run or head.
You're putting yourself down. You're very good.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. Thank you so much for joining. On your way out, guys, hit those buttons, like and subscribe. We'll see you for another video very, very soon. Bye-bye.